episode, and we start in the NBA where there's some news items as well as the NBA Finals going on right now. Obviously, it looks like with the Hornets job opening, you'll see Michael Jordan meeting with Mike D'Antoni about that job. D'Antoni has had about 1 billion head coaching jobs, so why not add another?
Yeah, I think this team could use maybe that fast-paced offense as we talked about before. And in the mock draft, it shows them taking Mark Williams, so they'd get a guy who is kind of used to the running gun offense and can also defend the rim. If they end up getting him,
Yeah, and they have the experience of somebody who has coached a lot of really good guards, and LaMelo Ball's on his way to being that. So that would be interesting there.
yeah. And the Hornets have 2 first-round picks, right? Where they were going to get.
Don't they have a pick from?
They have them taking Mark Williams at 13, and then they have the 15th pick from the Pelicans taking Jeremy Socam from Baylor.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what they do with their head coaching job. The Utah Jazz, quote, desperately wanted Quinn Snyder to stay. He decided to resign. So that'll be an interesting job there because you don't know what that roster looks like next season. And I don't blame them for them desperately wanting to keep him because he's a good head coach. I just don't know that core could really never get very far.
Yeah, they've went to like 8 straight playoffs, 8 or 9 or something.
Yeah.
But what came out at the end of the year, like they're losing Rudy Gobert or Donovan Mitchell. Probably Rudy Gobert would be my guess of who they're losing. But they're not. There's no way I don't think they're gonna be able to keep both.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. The Warriors won game 2. They had a horrible fourth quarter in game 1 that lost them that game, but they dominated most of game 2, or the third quarter especially. They were great in the third quarter in game 1 as well, just all fell apart in the fourth, but they got it done, and it's a tied series.
Yeah, I mean the Celtics went like a 30 to like 5-point run in the fourth in game 1, and then the Warriors kind of almost did the same thing to them in the third quarter, game 2.
I think the biggest problem for the Celtics is that they're relying too much on Al Horford and Derek White to put up big numbers like they did in game 1 to beat the Warriors, and that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, like Tatum, he's trying to hold the Celtics together, but Marcus Smart had a horrible game in game 2. But yeah, he's also the guy chasing Curry around, so his legs are going to be tired. But like you and me were texting about the other day, the NBA Finals, I mean, it's like 3 or 4 games between every game. Even though both of these games are at Golden State, there's a huge break.
Yeah, I hate that.
Like, I mean, any other sport, I mean, hockey's one of the most grueling sports, and yet these guys are playing every other day.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Even when they have to travel, their one day off is their travel day.
It's an annoying part about the finals, for sure. Any NBA series, really.
So, yeah, like Ethan said, the series is tied at 1-1. Game 3 is tonight. I had this into the NBA because that was funny because Derek Fisher, did he get a head coaching job at one point in the NBA, right?
I don't remember. Maybe.
Was he an assistant somewhere?
He was definitely an assistant. I don't know if he ever got an NBA head coaching job. I don't even remember.
So he became a WNBA coach, and he was fired as head coach of the LA Spark.
Okay, he coached the Knicks from 14 to 16. I completely forgot about that.
I thought he had
40 and 96 for the Knicks.
So he couldn't cut it. He was a pretty decent or average point guard in the league. Couldn't cut as a coach in the NBA, and now we'll find out he can't cut it as a coach in the WNBA.
Yeah, it looks like lost in the conference finals in 19, lost in the second round in 20, missed the playoffs last year, and started 5-7 this year. So gone.
So I guess took him decent the first couple of years in, but probably, with someone else's roster and probably used a lot of offenses and stuff. Maybe they already had implicated into their system before just throwing his in there.
Yeah.
Mock, I don't think really changed much. It still has the Magic taking Jabari Smith, but it says the best available is Chet Holmgren. OKC taking Holmgren. Houston taking Paolo. The Kings need is Keegan Murray, but the best available is Jaden Ivey. Pistons taking Ivey, but I think it's also the same. I think this is different. The Pacers says taking AJ Griffin over Dyson Daniels from the G League. So not much different than the mock draft, but we still got
a month,
2 weeks.
Really?
The draft is June 23rd.
Okay, I didn't know it was that quick. Month until the NHL draft. That's what I know about that. All right, let's move forward to the NFL, where Romeo Crennel retires after nearly 40 seasons coaching, 50 total years coaching. He was the head coach of the Browns, Chiefs, and interim head coach for the Texans in 2020. Great career. Always a recognizable guy on the sideline. You always knew who he was for a long time.
Yeah, and I think it was either like the last 8 or 9 were all with the Texans.
A lot of early playoff exits in that time.
And he did. But was he a defensive coordinator or was he an off?
I believe he was defensive coordinator, yeah.
So, he basically started with the Texans when it was Watt and Clowney and Tyrann Mathieu and those guys.
I guess. Another retiree, Ryan Fitzmagic, 17 seasons, 9 teams. I don't think I can name all of them off the top of my head, but I could definitely name the fact that Bills, Jets, Dolphins, so 3/4 of that division.
Bucks, Washington.
Where the hell else was he? Wasn't he in Jesus, this is harder than I thought. How many do we have right now? 5?
Yeah, and we had looked this up, I think, before. I'm looking it up right now.
I'm trying to picture him with different teams.
Harvard grad, though. And doesn't he have, like, the highest score or whatever on the
It sounds right if he does.
Whatever they call that test when you
Wonderlic.
Yeah. He was selected by the Rams in the 7th round in 2005. So he was only with the Rams for a year, and then he went to the Bengals for a year, Bills for 3. He was with the Titans for a year, the Texans, the Jets for 2 years, Tampa for 2, Dolphins for 2, and then the Washington football team.
Okay, yeah, a couple
Which
random ones
he suffered a hip subluxation in the opening game last year, so
yeah,
that was kind of his career-ending injury.
Yep, that was that. Deebo Samuel is expected at the 49ers minicamp, but DK Metcalf is not at the minicamp in Seattle. So do with that what you will, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm guessing that means probably Deebo is closer to a contract with the Niners, and DK is not.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. I don't know
Because
what happens.
who was it? We had before we had was Debo, DK, and
McLaurin or AJ Brown?
AJ Brown were the three guys that were really pushing for new contracts. And out of all of them, AJ Brown's the one that's gotten one so far.
Yeah, from a new team too. So, speaking of AJ Brown, Titans, who traded him, they say that their rookie receiver, who they pretty much drafted to replace him, Traylon Burks, setback due to asthma. So
Yeah, like it's setbacks where he had to miss OTAs and stuff. How was that not known in college?
yeah,
The pre-draft physical and everything.
yeah, I don't know. That's a weird one. Baker Mayfield was excused from minicamp, mutual decision for both sides. It's a weird situation because I don't think anybody really expects Deshaun Watson to play any football this season at this point.
No, because now more and more things keep coming out.
Yeah.
There's the whole massage thing.
I
With
mean,
66 different massage therapists. So it's like,
if you're Baker Mayfield, I don't think you come back under any circumstances, right? I just feel like, why would I want to help them?
you wouldn't think you'd want to, because didn't they also bring another quarterback in to be the backup?
Yeah, that's
Jacoby Brissett, right?
Someone like that. I don't know if it was him, but it was someone like that. I'll look it up.
Aaron Donald, though, gets a huge raise. Contract is now 3-year, $95 million.
It was Brissett. Good call.
Got a $40 million raise. Highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, it certainly seemed like with his comments from last week that it was either going to be fix my deal or get a new deal, or I'm going to just hang it up, which the Rams clearly want to keep him around for a few more years. I think he's got a few more years in him, so that'll be good.
But without adding years onto this contract, like, how does adding $40 million to this deal keep them under the cap?
There's a lot of different things you can do with the salary cap.
I mean, I'm sure there could be 13.3 or whatever to each year, or it's end-loaded, or
it's a salary thing instead of a cap hit, something like that. So, yeah, that's how it is in the NFL.
And then surprisingly, the Colts linebacker Darius Leonard, the captain of their defense, is set to have back surgery, hoping he only misses minicamp. So must only be a small procedure on his back, but
that can't be good. Can't be good. He needs explosiveness, and that can't help.
Yeah, I mean, a guy you expect to be in the scrum every down, having a back surgery. The Bears lost yesterday's OTA practice due to on-field contact violation from a practice they had in May. I just thought that was funny that they lose an OTA practice because of on-field contact in May.
They're football guys, all about football.
The Broncos have a deal with their sale to the Walter Penny Group, which is Walmart, for $4.65 billion. I
believe this is the largest sale ever for a franchise.
So you think they changed the name or anything?
No. Any sport, though. So
no, not team name, like stadium.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, down the road, but didn't they just rename it? It's like Empower Stadium or something right now instead of Mile High.
Oh, because I guess most of the stadiums are named by their sponsor or something.
Yeah. So I believe the Mets were third largest sale of all time. I think Chelsea in the Premier League was second, and I believe the Broncos are number one.
Which, I mean, and this came out of the blue, I think, with Walmart coming into play for this.
Yeah. It's a lot of money.
And maybe they'll have a clearance section at the stadium for some other stuff.
They could, yeah.
Have a mini Walmart in the stadium, or they're going to build one right next door to the stadium. Drew Brees leaving NBC after 1 year as an analyst.
Kind of a weird thing.
I don't know if this is more of a hint to like see how this year goes with the Saints, and if he possibly comes back, and then him and Coach Payton come back together. Or
that would be a disaster. Drew Brees was on the way out when he retired. He's not coming back to play football.
I mean, if you get 2 years to rehab your arm and everything, and I understand his age and everything, but if Mike Thomas is back and nothing said he couldn't ever sign a mid-year this year either. I mean, they got all the receivers now with Olave and Mike Thomas back. Say Jameis starts out shaky, they're like, hey, Drew, when you come back in here?
Yeah, I don't know.
And then last week, we had the match, went all 12 holes. Brady and Rogers won it on the final hole.
Rogers won on the final hole, yeah.
I mean, it started they started 2 up through 2, and then I think they lost 3 and 5, and then it was I think Moses Allen went up 1 around like 9.
Yeah, they did.
And then Brady and Rogers won like 10 and then 12.
Yeah,
so I wasn't able to watch it. So was it that they played best ball or like scramble format off the tee, but then when it came to their when they got on the green, they each had to putt their own ball?
Yeah, so basically what they did was off the tee, whoever had the better tee ball, you take that, you both hit from there, and then after that you play your ball the rest of the way, I believe. So, yeah.
I watched like a highlight video or whatever on YouTube of it. It was like a 40-minute thing. It's like, looks like they're playing scramble, but then when on the green, they're at different spots, putting different spots. So I'm like, they had to have played best ball after the tee shot.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of confusing, but I also think it was kind of a cool format. All right, golf.
Yeah, last weekend was the Memorial Tournament by Workday. The winner was Billy Horschel. Won $2.2 million, shot 13 under. This weekend is the RBC Canadian Open. Defending champion is?
Apparently Rory McIlroy, because this hasn't been played since 2019.
It's at St. George's Golf and Country Club, and you want to?
I don't even know how to pronounce that. It's in Ontario.
Etobicoke, Ontario.
Sure, why not? And Scotty Scheffler's on the Corn Ferry Tour the last time that this was played. So there you go.
And then this is also, I mean, you're having some big names not in this because the commish of the tour said you're either in one or you're in the other.
Yeah, but it's not going to affect next week at the U.S. Open, so that'll be interesting.
What do you mean, like Dustin Johnson will play in that?
Yeah. It's a USGA thing. The USGA pretty much put out a statement yesterday that said it's not our job to not let people play in our tournament because of their commitment to another tournament that's not aligned with the PGA Tour. It pretty much said it's the PGA Tour's problem, not our problem. That's what the USGA said. I think all the other majors are probably going to say the same thing because remember, the PGA Championship is a PGA of America thing. It's not a PGA Tour thing.
Yeah. And
so
how do you pronounce the other? Is it the Live or
Live? Yeah, and it's stands for 54 because every single tournament's 54 hole tournament. And so that means you're probably going to see Phil and DJ and all those guys playing in the U.S. Open next week. And I think that's going to be very interesting media-wise. So
You think Phil's going to come back to play?
I think so, yeah. He was going to play in the PGA Championship, but pulled out last minute, and I think he'll play. And they're going to let him, so.
Good to see Phil back.
Looks like a crackhead, but that's all right.
I haven't seen an image of him lately.
It's bad in terms of he looks high constantly, and he looks like he's on speed or something, but whatever. What can you do? He's been away for a while.
He's been living life lavish since he hasn't been playing.
Yeah. What do we have next? I don't even – softball, is that what that stands for?
Yeah, a little game 1 of the Women's College World Series starts tonight at 7:30. You got Texas versus number 1 Oklahoma. Texas record of the year is 47-20-1. Oklahoma's was 57-3.
Yeah, it seems like Oklahoma's going to win, right?
You would think, but also Texas just shut out OK State. It's the first time there's been a shutout in a Women's College World Series game ever. So I don't know the matchups wise or score wise of what these guys played in matchups during the year. But I'm sure Oklahoma's got to be the favorite. I didn't even look on DraftKings if there was odds on this.
I'm going to say Oklahoma wins. So those are my thoughts. Boom.
I don't even see like college softball or anything on here.
Yeah, it's probably not on there. I don't know. But either way, we move forward. Do you think Oklahoma wins? Probably. I mean, yeah, right? Yeah, it's got to be.
You would think. I mean, with only losing 3 games on the year.
Yeah, I would say so. All right. Major League Baseball. Albert Pujols takes sole possession of 9th all-time in hits at 3,320. Did it last night against the Tampa Bay Rays. Unsurprising for sure that he did that. Pete Alonso exits the Mets-Padres game after getting hit on the wrist. X-rays negative. I think Yu Darvish hit 3 of the first 5 batters in that game last night, and the Mets have like 40 hit-by pitches this season as a team.
I mean, I'm surprised he exited. He's so big and strong.
Yeah, he's a big, strong guy. He definitely didn't get pulled down by a 5'5" Canadian fellow. That didn't happen. So yeah, Pete Alonso. X-rays negative though, so strong bones still, regardless, I guess. Then we had other news in baseball.
Yeah, yesterday the Angels fired manager Joe Madden amidst a 12-game skid.
Yeah, I mean, the Angels are doing what they do every year, which is at some point they fall apart and Trout gets hurt like he did last night. And they went from, 10 games over 500 or 10 games under 500? Okay, 10 games over 500. I don't know why I said under.
Because at one point it was the first time both LA teams and both New York teams were leading their division.
They went from 27-17 to 27-29. So yeah, that's about right.
But was this his second or third year?
Second, I believe. Maybe third. No, had to be second. I think it was because the Cubs. Well,
yeah. Was their first year with Ross last year or 2 years ago?
No, their first year with Ross, I think, was 2020, wasn't it? No, wait. Timeline's getting me here.
But yeah, so Phil Nevin was named the interim manager, and then to add to the
Third year.
Angels, Trout got hurt last night, groin injury, as they lost their 13th straight.
Yeah, so, and I'm picking them in the picks later, so there you go. But it was his third year, yeah. So.
I would at least given him to All-Star break.
Yeah, they suck. Who cares? By some sort of philosophical differences, which is all BS, whatever.
I'm sure there's no way he's probably not a manager next year.
Maybe he doesn't want to be. He's kind of old now. I don't know. We'll see.
He'll definitely get asked to interview.
Phillies?
Maybe. I mean, you never know. I'm sure he gets an interview somewhere.
Yeah. All right, player of the week.
I picked Miami's right fielder Garrett Cooper. 10 for 21 over the last 7 days, 3 runs, 2 doubles, 1 home run, 7 RBIs, no walks. And then his only downside into that was 5 strikeouts. Other than that, though, hitting 500 over the last, or basically 500 over the last week.
Yeah, I picked Houston DH, who just got an extension, Yordan Alvarez, 14 for 30, 10 runs, a double, a triple, 5 homers, 10 RBIs. So
it's getting harder as the weeks go on to pick the player of the week.
Yeah, there's a lot of stats and numbers and stuff. So, yeah. All right, NHL, your team, the Boston Bruins, fire head coach Bruce Cassidy. David Pasternak's a big piece of this because he will meet with Bruins leadership in early July to determine the future. If they don't reach an extension, a trade is certainly on the table. And my personal opinion of this is that General Manager Don Sweeney is the biggest man to blame in all of this. I think he should have been fired too.
See, I don't even know. It's like Sweeney is a big piece as this too, but so is not their GM, their
owner.
No, their owner's an old man.
Cam Neely.
Yeah, I think he's also a big part in this.
Yeah, probably. Kind of like a weird boys club type thing, BS, not really building the team the right way. It kind of ruined the roster from 2019 because you let Krug walk and you brought in some other, like Foligno was an overpayment. Howlow was probably an overpayment. Forbert was okay in the playoffs, but like in the regular season, he was awful. And it's just like not really – I think the biggest reason why Krejci left, other than all the personal stuff or whatever, I don't think that him and Cassidy saw eye to eye. I think a lot of players didn't like Cassidy. I think that's a big reason why this happened. But he probably didn't trust leadership either. And I could see Krejci coming back, though. I can see that happening. Yeah. Especially if Bergeron retires, Krejci could very well come back.
Yeah. Now, that's another thing with Pastrnak, too, is, you don't know if his – meeting, if he's had private conversations with Bergeron to see if Bergie's going to come back or where he's really at right now.
I think a lot of this depends on whether Bergeron and Cassidy got along towards the end or whatever, because if they didn't, maybe this will swing Bergeron in the direction of, okay, maybe I'll come back.
Well, also could depend on who the new head coach is going to be.
Yeah, which that'll be interesting to see what they do. They could promote from within. That's kind of an on-brand move of them, I think, if they did that. I don't really know what kind of coach they want in there, so we'll see.
Do they bring old Claude back?
Oh, boy, yeah. Claude Julien, last seen being fired, and then the interim head coach got them to the Stanley Cup final last year from Montreal. So there you go.
So, yeah, a lot of questions there in Boston.
We'll see. I guess we'll know in like a month from now what they're going to do with Pastrnak. Maybe trade him to St. Louis. I'd be 100% in favor of
that. How many Bruins do you want to poach?
I'll just take Pastrnak for now. I think that'd be good. I'll give you Jordan Kyrou. You can have him. Give you Zachary Bolduc, who's the first-round pick last year, and I'll give you next year's first-round pick.
Next thing you're going to want like Taylor Hall in that mix.
I don't know if I want Taylor Hall. I'll take McAvoy for sure. If you're selling,
Just offering players up.
yeah, McAvoy and Krug together again. That'd be great.
The Kraken's Dreigel. Is that how you say his name?
I think there's an R on the end. I think it's Drieger or Drieger. I don't know.
But he's out 7 to 9 months with an ACL tear.
Yeah, this was playing for whatever team he was playing for in some sort of international. Drieger is how it's pronounced. ACL. It was playing for Canada against Finland in the title game of the World Championships. Is how that happened.
So I wonder if there's no way that's kind of like a break a contract thing, because I mean Seattle had to approve him to play in that. But does he lose payment for games missed next year? Or?
I don't know. Probably not. There's probably protection there.
I was saying because Seattle probably had to approve him to play in the thing.
Yeah, I would assume. Yeah, that maybe there's a reason why they signed Grubauer. They got 2 number ones, even though Drieger, he's kind of fringe number one. So is Grubauer, for being honest. But whatever.
And then I'll let you take the next one with the old Dallas Stars.
The Stars inking Denis Gurianov, $2.9 million. How many years is the contract?
I believe it's just a 1 year.
1 year, okay. Yeah, he's kind of a speedy winger. They got a lot of those, Robertson and Hintz, on the wings there, because they have some veteran wings like Radulov and Sagan, but they also have some speed with Hintz and Robertson. And Gurianov's one of those guys, hasn't really produced as much as you'd like over the last couple of years, but just a solid deal there for Dallas.
And then surprisingly, the Avs Kadri has thumb surgery. Unclear if he'll be back for the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, I don't think he will be, because I think the Avs are going to beat whoever they play in 4 or 5. So unless it's Tampa, I feel like Tampa can get them 6 or 7, just because Tampa has some of those games. Like Game 3 was a big example of that, where they get the late goal to win it. So if it's Tampa, I could see 6 or 7. If it's New York, it's going to be 4 or 5.
Yeah, right now, as of last night, the Lightning tied that series up 2-2 against the Rangers. Rangers were up 2-0 in the series. Colorado swept Edmonton. 6-5 was the score in Game 4, but it's a high-scoring series. That's the only thing that questions me with the Avs. Not that they might not win it, but that it could go into more games if they play a team who can score, because they've been allowing a lot of goals.
Yeah.
Especially in the series against Edmonton.
Yeah, and I think they're definitely prone to giving up some ugly ones, but they kind of just overwhelm teams in every other way that it's really hard to beat them. But I think an example of that is that game, the Game 4 against Edmonton. I think another example is the Game 5 against the Blues, where they had a 3-0 lead midway through the second, and they lose that game 5-4. So that's an issue, but I just think they're too good. It'd be very disappointing for them if they didn't win the Cup. So, all right, let's do the betting picks here. Last week for me, 5-5, 2-3 in Major League Baseball, 0-1 in the NBA, 1-1 in the NHL, and I had 2 golfers, Max Homa top 20, Sung JM top 10. So 5-5. My overall record, which I've calculated properly, is 425 and 342.
Which you should have another win or another point there, because you picked Brady and Rogers to win the match, correct?
That is correct. So I should have added that. 6-5. So that's 426 and 342.
So I went 7-3. I was 1-0 in the NBA, 0-2 in hockey, 4-1 in baseball. Picked the match correctly, and then I had Billy Horschel to finish in the top 10.
That's a good call. Billy Horschel, the winner.
So I got that one. So I'm 441 and 342, almost 100 over.
All right. Let's go now. The RBC Canadian Open, St. George's Golf Course in blah, 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 Ontario.
This week there, for some reason, wasn't top 10 picks available.
Yeah.
So we picked a top 40, but we both agreed to pick a guy we really didn't know.
Yep.
My 3 picks to win are Scotty Scheffler plus 700, Sam Burns plus 1,600, Matthew Fitzpatrick plus 1,600. Oh, that was same as Burns plus 1,600. Top 5, Cameron Smith plus 240. Top 20, Dylan Fratelli at plus 300. And my top 40 pick is John Huh.
I've never heard of him.
It's literally spelled H-U-H.
Yeah, I've seen the name on the leaderboard, but
at plus 150.
all right. To win, I'm taking Rory McIlroy plus 800, Cameron Smith plus 1,000, and Sebastian Munoz plus 4,500. Top 5, I'll take the Canadian himself, Corey Connors plus 400. Top 20, Sam Burns minus 145. And top 40, I'm going Sam Ryder plus 225. So good name. I think the only time I've ever heard of him, I think he made a hole in one in Phoenix on number 17 or whatever. But I think that's the only time.
Waste management.
Yeah, I think that was him. I don't know. All right.
You took Burns as your top 20?
Yeah.
Or an optic spectrums because I have him to win and you got him there.
Well, we'll see. I mean, he maybe he gets hurt and doesn't get top 20. I feel like
this for the listeners is how Ethan gets 2 golfers.
I mean, last week Max Homa top 20. That's not ever a freebie. You never know with Max. He could be really good or really bad. He had a really good Sunday. He got like top 5, but we'll see. MLB picks.
I got the Dodgers minus 120 over the White Sox, which I was surprised this line was this close because the Dodgers pitcher who's pitching is I think it's Tyler Anderson. He's 7-0. I got the D-backs plus 115 over the Reds, the Orioles minus 110 over the Royals, the Yankees minus 190 over the Twins, and the Angels minus 145 over the Red Sox. Somehow they're on a 13-game losing streak, and they are the favorite. And I figured maybe new or without Trout, Ohtani's pitching, maybe get a little change of things there.
Yeah, I agree. I'm taking the Cardinals plus 130 at the Rays, the Braves minus 265 against the Pirates, Yankees minus 190 against the Twins, Brewers minus 160 against the Phillies, and the Angels minus 145 against the Red Sox.
Also, Strasburg, I believe, is making his season debut tomorrow.
That'll go well, I'm sure. NHL playoffs. Tomorrow, Game 5, Rangers Lightning.
I got the Lightning minus 130.
Yeah, I think that's a layup. I think the Lightning found something in the way that they dominated them last night, and I think that they're going to win this series in 6, maybe 7.
And this game's back in New York, right?
Yeah, and then Game 6 is in Tampa, and then Game 7, if there is one, there's a Bieber concert scheduled at MSG that night, so I guess they're going to have to cancel that or reschedule that. Or they pick Bieber over the NHL. That's possible, and they just don't play. That could be an option, I think. And the weird thing about this is that Colorado is going to have at least 9 days off or something. It could be 12 at the most. So that'll be something to watch for.
Which who was it? What Tampa came into this series having a long time off.
Yeah.
Because the Rangers series before this went to 7?
Carolina, yeah.
So, I mean, which maybe that's what Tampa was sluggish in the first couple of games because they had so much off.
Yeah, we'll see how that affects the Avalanche.
Could be good for the Lightning or whoever comes out of winning the series.
Could be. All right, NBA Finals Game 3 tonight. Who do you like?
I want the Celtics to win, but like the series, but I'm taking the Warriors plus 3.5.
Yep, I'm taking the Warriors as well. I think the Warriors win this series in 6.
But I think every line of this series has been like 3 or 3.5.
I know for a fact game 1 was 3.5.
Yeah, because we picked game 1.
And I picked the Warriors, which looked good until it didn't.
Yeah, I had the Celtics.
So, all right.
Yeah, that was 3.5. So
that'll do it for us. We'll see you next week for more sports talk. Approaching the great number 69 in a couple weeks. So that'll be exciting for everybody. And we'll see you on the next edition of the Sports Mashup.